This is Faking Sanity podcast. This is our second attempt at a first episode. Because apparently,
technical difficulties. The eyesight camera doesn't record video or doesn't record sound with its video. Who knew?
But yeah, we're here. I'm Cindy.
I'm Angel.
We're from Dawson Creek, BC, Canada, and we own a store called Faking Sanity. It's a used bookstore, cafe, coffee shop, tea shop, and a tiny bit of a yarn store.
There's a little bit more on the other side too.
It's a small town, so there's really not a whole lot of other places to get nice yarn. There's a couple other places with acrylics and acrylic blends, but we tried to bring in some hand-dyed and stuff like that.
So that's us. Faking Sanity. Occasionally more easily than other times.
Yes.
Do you want to just start with whips?
Yeah. You want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay. My first whip. Oh, you could have started. Oh, well, anyway. My first whip, I actually have it half done. It's a lovely squishy mitt, and I've got another cuff done here. I do circular things, small circular things on 2 circular needles. So I get my little spider of needles here. And
a wind chime.
Yes, yeah. The pattern is Quick Knits Chunky Mitts by Cozy Up Designs, and they are a group of sisters out of Grande Prairie who also have a podcast called Stitchin Up with the Sister.
Cozy Up with the Stitchin Sisters.
I can talk. And they're fabulous. They designed this mitt pattern, and I did it exactly as it called for this time. This is my first one, and I usually go up a needle size because I knit so tightly, but this time I didn't, just to see, and it's quite small, which is perfect, so it fits me perfectly. I think if I knit more, which I had planned on it, I think I'll knit some to sell at the store. I'm going to go up a needle size, and then they'll fit, normal-handed people. I just have really...
hands.
They're wide, but short, so yeah. And the yarn is Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick, which is, I haven't actually used it before. I just got it at Michael's in Grande Prairie, and it's a fabulous yarn. I was pretty impressed. It's really squishy.
It's really squishy.
Yeah, really nice. And I have this project in my, it's an Amelia X Joy bag. She has an Etsy shop, and this is the big, huge project bag, which I got for my big projects, but this is kind of a small project.
And this is the small project size bag. It's also an Amelia X Joy. It's perfect for like a shawl or a pair of socks, something like that.
Yeah, I've got another one too. She does great bags. We've ordered from her a couple times. But yeah, and what's your first project?
So I've got in my Amelia X Joy project bag a pair of socks. It's the yarn from Biscotte et Compagnie out of Montreal, and it's their Bis sock base, which is an I think 85-15.
That sounds right.
Yeah, 85% merino, 15% nylon, but it is so soft for an 85-15. It
really is.
Like, it feels like there's cashmere or something in it. It's really soft. And it's a little bit looser ply twist than most sock yarn, but it's lovely, and it just looks gorgeous. And I love the self-striping. Like, the stripes are just really neat and even. And we've got some of their striping and a couple of their speckled colorways in stock at the store. But this one's going to be mine because I love it. And it's the Tang Fish colorway. So this is my fishy feet project on Ravelry.
I really like that.
Yeah.
I have some of the rainbow self-striping that I haven't. Well, I have some in the same base, and I have some in their like chunky weight base.
And the colors are so vibrant; they're just really well dyed.
Yeah, definitely. My other, I have lots and lots of whips. Whips. So I just did 2 today, but my other one. This has been my carry around a knit with me because it's just stockinette, lots and lots of stockinette. It is the Sockhead Slouch hat by Kelly McClure, and the yarn is Hat Trick by River City. Well, River City Yarns Hat Trick Dyed by Ancient Arts. It's a exclusive to them color range, colorway. Well, yeah,
color line.
Yes, thank you. And each colorway is a hockey team because we're kind of
big
hockey nerds. This is the Pittsburgh Penguins. Well, Pittsburgh, so it's the Penguins colorways, which actually is kind of funny because last season they changed their colors. So this kind of Vegas gold is now like a more yellowy gold. It looks a lot more like the Bruins yarn.
It's a little less yellow than the Bruins.
I could have got the Bruins yarn when we were in Edmonton, but I was like, no, not Bruins yarn. Someone might mistake me for a Bruins fan.
Heaven forbid.
Heaven forbid. We actually, because we were showing this one, we have a couple of our other projects out of Hat Trick.
Yes.
That are finished objects. Well, pretty much finished.
Well, mine is finished.
It's not blocked.
I checked this one. No, it is.
Is it?
I have pictures of it on blocking mats. I just wasn't sure if the ends were woven in. So I tried a couple of different stitch patterns, but I really liked it best with just stockinette. So I did just a clapetty. I never did one when it was all the rage, and I tried a bunch of different stitch patterns, and I thought it's what looked the best. And a friend actually pointed out that the blue sort of looks like C's. This is the Montreal colorway for the Habs, or the Canadiens. So the little blue C's she thought was intentional because
they make C.
It's just kind of the way it
pools. Yeah, it's actually cool. Every skein I've seen has pooled differently. Yeah. Like the change in the tiniest amount of change makes a difference. So we get the kind of really variegated, and then I kind of worked on getting stripes, and then this is my other Hat Trick project, and I really worked on getting this to pool perfectly. This is the Edmonton colorway because they're my backup team, because I had to have a Canadian team because I felt guilty cheering for an American team. But
it has a lot of Canadians on it.
Yeah. But yeah, so my Edmonton Oilers scarf, and it's the No Purl Ribbed Scarf by Purl Soho. Did I get that right? No, yeah. Yes, I did. No Purl Ribbed Scarf by Purl Soho. But yeah, and I really, really worked on it because you can kind of see the back colors coming through. So I worked on getting it to pool how I wanted.
It's really cool.
I really like it. It's fun. I can wear it a couple ways.
And it's your colors.
And nobody in Dawson Creek will get beat up for cheering for the Edmonton Oilers because they're closer than the Vancouver Canucks. It's pretty evenly split around here.
And it's fine to be a Habs fan anywhere in the world.
Anywhere really. Well, I was going to say anywhere in Canada, but really, yeah, anywhere in the world. There are Habs fans everywhere.
Because Montreal rocks.
Pens fans, there's a lot of them right now. Cause,
that's true.
My team won the last 2 Stanley Cups, and they rock.
And lots of people will cheer for a team that's good at the moment.
Yeah.
But that's our Hat Trick yarn.
Yeah, and talking about that, we got to go down to Edmonton last week. It was our first vacation in 7 years since we opened the store. So we just ran down there.
And it was kind of a work vacation. We had to go to get stuff for the store, but we tagged in a day and a half in Edmonton to have fun and go to some yarn shops.
And go to yarn stores. So there are 2 yarn stores down there. There's River City Yarns, which we already talked about, which is right in Edmonton. And then there's Pam's Woolly Workshop, which is in Stony Plain, which is like
10-15 minutes before you hit Edmonton if you're coming from the north.
Really easy to get to, too. So we stopped there on our way into Edmonton, and we have stash acquisition.
Yes.
So, you can go first if you want.
So I started with some Fibre. We had found it because I was looking to see if there were any spinning shops in Edmonton. And so I like to try a whole bunch of different breeds of Fibre, and they had these cool little 50-gram color packs of Corriedale, which I've never tried, which is odd because it's what most people start with. But so there's one pack has kind of pink and plum and black and a bit of blue, and the second pack has the same blue and a darker version of the plum. And it's got gray instead of black. So I think I'm going to spin those together. I think they'll be fun. And it's a lot softer than I thought it would be.
It's really nice.
Yeah, I thought it would be quite coarse, but it's kind of pleasant. And then these grabbed me. I didn't pick them up at first. I looked at them and walked by them like 5 times, but I ended up picking up this fluorescent color pack They're both Corriedale as well. They're Ashford fiber. And it really is that bright. It kind of looks electric sign colors. And I don't know if I'll like make a blue skein and then something striped in it, or if I'll make these kind of as a gradient blending from one fluorescent color to the other to make one bigger
so
project.
Bright.
They really are.
It's amazing.
I love them. So there'll be some soon spinning.
And it'll be really interesting to see how they spin up, because often, like, if it's really light in the fiber, often it's darker in the yarn itself. So it'll be really interesting.
These are so bright. I think they'll
they're
pop.
So neat.
Yeah.
So I got yarn, because I don't spin at all. It's Ella Ray Lace Merino Aran, and I got it in 2 different colorways. It's really nice. It's a really plump,
so squishy.
I'd say it's a chunky, but I don't know.
No, Aran.
Aran? Okay,
Yeah.
sure. I got it in the blue, which is Songbird. And then I got it in this green and black.
Love this color.
And it's so pretty.
It's got so much depth too.
Yeah.
Like even the blacks have kind
greens.
of undertones of green.
Yeah. And it's called Clover of Ireland, which is, it's such a great name
name.
for it. Yeah, I totally ruined this skein, but that's okay. That is okay. Okay, and
Pretty squishy yarn.
yeah, the other thing I got that day was
love this.
kit. So it's a skein of Estelle Chunky, which is a like acrylic and wool blend. It's a really basic one, but it's really nice. I got it in the ecru. And then, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Okay. And then little balls to go with it in a navy and a like deep green and red and goldenrod, I think they call that one. And it is a kit to make this hat, which is a Hudson's Bay inspired beanie.
Uber Canadian.
It's very, there used to be Hudson's Bay blankets. Everyone had them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have that same color stripe pattern.
And this, it has a pom-pom on it, and I'm usually vehemently anti-pom-pom, but this, it seems to suit it, so I might actually make a pom-pom. We'll see. But that was our purchases, the first shop we stopped in.
Did we say that we were from Canada?
Yes, I did.
Okay. We're uber Canadian. We're proud to be Canadian. We love where we live.
Yeah, and we're really northern Canadian. Well,
I'm newly northern.
she's from Quebec and moved up here because we were opening a business. Yeah. And this is my hometown. So,
after that, we were going to talk about Hat-trick FOs and then our FOs.
Oh, no, we still have more stash acquisition.
Oh, well, I don't. I have one skein of yarn, but I forgot it. So.
Oh, sorry. Okay, well, so
okay.
then the next day in Edmonton, we went to River City Yarns. And it's really nice. I hadn't been there before. Actually, both of the stores, gorgeous and just packed full of stuff.
Yeah, and great yarn selections.
Yeah, yeah, and we were. It was nice enough at River City. They were having a sale while we were there, so I bought more than I probably would have. But I don't know. I probably
we're not going to get back there.
Yeah,
it's a good 7.5 hour drive. From here, so it's not a day trip for most people.
Some people do. They're strange, but yeah, it's kind of the big city we go to. So I got 2 Ancient Arts yarns.
They're so plump. These are so plump.
The yarn is called Big Squeeze. I love it. It's this bulky, and it's
it's so squishable.
Yeah, it's gonna make great probably hats, because I have so much fingering weight yarn in my stash. It's ridiculous, and I've kind of stopped knitting socks or shawls just because I don't wear either of them all that much.
Not really handy in an overheated kitchen.
Yeah, we're at the store. It feels like 24/7.
All the time. We're actually filming this at our store.
Oh, well, we're closed for the long weekend, but yeah, so lately I've just been making hats and mitts and cowls.
Well, you wear a lot of hats.
I wear a lot of hats because we've got about 6 months of winter, and I like hats.
Yeah, and these are your colors.
These are. So this one is Davy Jones Locker.
Love the name.
Yeah, me too. And this one is Water Lily Blue. So I was like, they go well together or separate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
you have more options.
yeah, so that was at River City. And then on our way back out of Edmonton to come home, I kind of detoured back into Stony Plain to go back to Pam's woolly shop because
There was one thing that she had been looking at the day before that
I
she
was
hadn't
trying to be
picked up.
good, but being good is overrated. So, oh my god. Okay, so this one is a Manos del Uruguay Gloria. And it's squishy as well.
Yeah.
I used to, when I first started knitting, I did a lot in Manos. Their old base, I can't even remember what it was called, but it was much more crunchy yarn.
Yeah.
And the colors were beautiful, so I loved the colors. But this yarn is just, it's nice, and I'm a squisher. And this colorway is called Nostalgia, which is...
It's great.
Yeah,
I love the depth of the color.
I seem to have a theme going on
Yes.
here. Yeah.
Teals, greens, blues, purples.
Yeah. And then the other thing I bought, this was total impulse purchase,
I love this bag.
is a bag, and it's by Hippie, well, Chic, but I like to think of it as Hippie Chick. But it's this heavy woven bag with nice lining and this great handle.
Yeah.
Very colorful.
It's so good. And it's such a great size. Like,
Yeah.
it can fit a lot of stuff in it.
Well, all that yarn and more were in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I might cut off the tassels.
You're so anti-tassel.
I am so anti-tassel. It's really bad. They're just not me. But I really, really like it. So that was my other.
It's a gorgeous bag.
Yeah. So we highly recommend both those stores.
Yes. And everybody talks about River City, and they were fabulous, and the staff were great at
they
both.
were great.
But I was surprised that I'd never heard about Pam's woolly shop.
Yeah.
Maybe because it was fabulous.
Maybe because it's a little out of town, but it's right
10,
on the
15
way.
minutes. We
If
drove 7 hours. 10 minutes is no big
Yes.
deal.
It's right on the way also into Edmonton if you're coming from this direction. So, yeah, it's great.
Well, why don't we segue, since we were talking about River City, about River City is actually coming up to Grande Prairie this month, and they're going to do a pop-up shop as well as some classes. They're doing like an advanced beginner class and a steeking class.
Oh.
And if you're interested in either of those, check out their website, River City Yarns, and you have to pre-register for the classes so they know how many spaces, and they are starting to fill up, so definitely go soon if you're interested in more details or to register.
Yeah.
Check them out.
And it's August 25th and 26th, so August 25th is the Saturday, and they'll be at the Grande Prairie Farmers Market with some of their exclusive lines. So they do, their exclusive lines are like the Hat Trick, and they've now got a new one called Touchdown, which is in football colorways.
And the Adam and Eve.
And the Adam
I
and
really
Eve,
liked that one.
that's the one that's hand-dyed by Handmaiden for them, right?
I think so.
Handmade, amazing dyers as well.
And another Canadian company. Handmaiden and Fleece Artist is one of the companies we deal with here, and we just love them.
Yeah, they're just excellent company to deal with.
Yeah.
So, and beautiful yarns. I've knit quite a few Fleece Artist and Handmaiden things, so I'm sure you'll see some.
Our personal stashes have grown a little bit with those since we brought them into the store. So
Yeah, totally.
this is getting too hot. Excuse me. It is the middle of summer here.
So our FOs. I already showed one of my FOs.
Okay, well, why don't we show our share?
Yeah.
So we have one of our staff can't do wool at all, and so for her birthday this summer, we got an order together for some really cool cotton gradient yarn, and we did a little store crochet along.
Yeah, crochet along, right.
With
It's
the three
crocheted.
of us. So Cindy's got
I've got Galactic.
Galactic colorway. Mine is Wedgwood, so it's light blue into
Wedgwood
kind
Winter.
of a chocolate brown. Wedgwood Winter. And then Danielle, our staff, got one that's kind of similar to Cindy's. It's got more gray
Dusk.
and gray and purple in it, and a little more tealy than green.
Yes.
So they're all beautiful. And the yarn is from it's Monsoon Calamity Mocha Gradient Cotton on Etsy. You can find her shop at MCPatterns on Etsy.
Sorry.
And if you like the pattern,
she did it as
she
well.
did as well. And it's the Starbrella Shawl on Ravelry by Cindy Toner, or you can buy it on her Etsy shop. And the really cool thing about her yarns is, well, there's two cool things. Well,
there's quite a few cool things,
but the two I want to mention are that she has 3 different kind of lengths of balls that she does,
and tons of colorways.
Choose any of the colorways in any of those lengths,
and she'll make it up for you.
And she'll make it up if she doesn't have it listed. And the other thing is, it's really neat because it's 4 strands of individual cotton fibers, and they're not twisted together, so it's 4 individual strands you're holding, and that's how the color changes happen. So like for mine, it starts out with like 3 strands of white and 1 blue, and then it goes into like 2 strands of white and 2 blue, and so you get this kind of gradual shifting of color, and it's just beautiful.
And the drape is beautiful. Like most cotton, like it's nothing like handicrafter's cotton, if that's you know the only cotton you've worked with.
It's more like a Pima cotton. It doesn't say that it is, but
it's soft lovely. And drapey. It's beautiful. It's drapey. It's actually quite cool, so I can wear it.
Yeah. And the shape is nice for the shawl too, because it kind of sits on your shoulders easily.
Yeah, and the pattern, actually, she has a version that is even deeper, the front triangle, so it crosses more easily. But it's just a lovely pattern and yarn. We were very happy when we found it. And
all 3 of us were thinking we wanted to get more next time. We have an order to plan. We'll jump in together.
Did you have you had another? We missed one of your whips. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. My other FO is this one, which actually can lead into the spinning.
Oh, okay.
And it's a Targhee cowl. When I started spinning, I liked to try as many different fibers as I could. And this one was Targhee, which I had never tried. And it's an American-developed breed.
Yeah, I had never even heard of it.
And it is so squishy.
Yeah.
Like, probably the squishy. Squishy is my favorite word.
Yeah.
I like squishy in a yarn.
Yes.
Above all else, squishy is my friend. And it's just, it's fabulous. Like the colors, the colorway is called Jordan by Port Fibre on Targhee. And it's got like taupes and navies and a bit of kind of warmer browns and kind of denim blues, and it's just gorgeous. And it's so squishy, like so squishy. And I don't know if you can see in the lace, you can see a bit more just how plump the yarn is around those yarn overs. It's so decadent feeling. Like it's not soft like silk, but it's plump and squishy and not scratchy at all, and I love it.
What's the pattern that you did?
Right. This pattern is the My Friend Marilee cowl on Ravelry, and I don't think it's available anymore. I think she was just doing some site maintenance, but it's not
down
back
right
up
now. Yeah. Well,
right now.
Hopefully.
But it's basically the same shape as like the bandana cowl or the Zuzu's petals. They're cowls where you started out flat and then join in the back. And then just knit in the round for the end. And this one's just stockinette stitch with a bit of a
lace at the end, right?
Yeah, just a cat's paw lace at the end.
And they hang so nice because you don't have much bulk at the back, but you have this like shawl look at the front, which is so nice when you put on your winter coat and it covers that gap at the top.
Yeah, and it's not so bulky that you can't button up the button.
Yeah.
So it defeats the purpose for warmth.
And so it's like you're wearing a shawl, but without the ends to tangle up and stuff. And Angel likes to point out that you can pull it up if you're really cold.
I get cold a lot.
She looks like a bank robber.
I don't do well with the heat, and I love winter, but I dress for it. And people mock how much I dress for it.
Yeah, well, it gets very cold here, so...
Yeah. So that's my last FO that I was bringing today, and that's hand spun that I spun. And should I just go into the spinning?
Yeah. Well, you can talk about your whip. It's part of your spinning.
So I do knit and I do crochet. Lately I've been doing a lot of spinning, more so than knitting or crochet. But my current work in progress, I've got the socks I showed earlier are at the store as kind of a store sample. They'll be mine. They're definitely going to be mine because I love them. But this is, so it's an accidental single yarn. I accidentally wound it off my wheel before I realized I hadn't plied it because it was that kind of a day. But it's Honui fiber from the Honui flock, of New Zealand half-bred from Heavenly Wools, and it's her dye job, and it's just fabulous fiber. It's a new breed for me that I started, but I've ordered from her I think 3 times now because I love it so much, and her dyeing is fabulous. And so it goes from the kind of inky, dark, denim-y blue into this natural oatmeal color, and that's the natural color for this fiber, and then into the pink. So I've still got another inch or so, and I'm just knitting the scarf lengthwise so that the stripes, I didn't have one end blue, one end pink, but the stripes go through the scarf. So I'm really looking forward to finishing it. I'm hoping to finish it this month, but it'll be fabulous when it's done. And there's hope. I do have just a tiny bit left, so there's hope I could finish it.
And it's like a lace weight,
yeah,
isn't it?
It's lace weight.
Yeah.
I'm not a super fast knitter, so I really have to work on it. It takes me about a half hour for a row right now. Well, all the way through. It takes me about a half hour for a row. So it'll happen, hopefully this month, but maybe not. And then this month, well, July was actually the Tour de Fleece. So if you're a cyclist, you know about the Tour de France. And so during the same month, a lot of people around the world get together and do the Tour de Fleece, which is kind of the same idea. It's an epic month of endurance spinning instead of endurance cycling. And then on the challenge days in the actual race, you do challenge days in your spinning as well. So I did this year, my first challenge was an art yarn, which I've never spun before. And I like how it looks. I hated every second of spinning it. I like neat and even,
most of her
plain looking, and this is very much not that. So it's a purple and kind of charcoal colored merino from, let me just get it here, from Wolfinch Studios on Etsy. And her fiber is lovely. I love it. I've gotten quite a bit from her. And so it's kind of spiral plied, that's kind of spun thick and thin, and then spiral plied with a black bamboo. So it's a cool looking skein. A lot of people have commented on it, but it might be for sale because I don't think I could knit with it.
Yeah.
I really like, when I started spinning, Cindy used to laugh at me because my goal was to have yarn that looked like commercial spun. And she thought, why bother?
Like, it's beautiful. She does beautiful spinning. It's usually all really even, and this, yeah, it was painful for her to purposefully make it thick and thin.
You know what? And it's supposed to be kind of randomly thick and thin. Yeah. And I ended up having to count like every 4th draft was thick because I couldn't do it. I had to have some sort of order to it. I just couldn't do it. And then the next 2 I spun were from Hip Strings. So these are fiber from Jill. She's from Pennsylvania. She actually has a colorway box called Skies Over Pittsburgh that you would like because it's blues and grays and stuff. But these were the 2 skeins of hers that I spun for the tour. This one is called Twinkle, and it's 96% merino with 3%. Nope.
That doesn't matter.
4%. Clearly it's time for some caffeine. 4% of stellina. And it was really cool because it's blended. The stellina is only in the really light blue teal-y color. So there's just a bit of sparkle in small sections of the yarn, but not everywhere. So I don't know if you can pick up the sparkle. It's kind of hard on camera because there's so little of it.
Kind of a blue sparkle,
but
too.
Yeah, it's lovely. And it's not so much sparkle that it adds a crunchy feel or scratchy feel to it. It's beautiful fiber. Yeah, and then this one is one of her signature blends, and I think this is the stuff I like the most out of her shop. She does really cool blends, like there's merino tussa and flax is one of them, and this one is her boy blend or buoy, and it's got BFL, Shetland, and Manx Lockton. Which is not one you see normally in blends. And it's just fabulous. It's a little bit crunchy, not too much. You can see it's not very stiff. Like the skein still droops a fair bit. It's got a really good combination of soft and drapey with a little bit of crunch. And I think it'd be great like hat yarn or sweater yarn. Not scarf or cowl for me because it's a little too heavy for that. But for hat, like I'd have no problem with it on my head.
Yeah, it's
And the colors are great. Like there's just little hints of subtle browns in there. I don't know if you could pick them up, but it's just lovely. And then I spun, this is Merino Tencel. So this is from Acme Fibres, also in Canada. We like to support Canadian businesses when we can. Being a small Canadian business, we know the importance of promoting other small businesses as well. And it's really cool. I don't know if you've tried Tencel before or Tencel blends. It's made out of a wood pulp, and it's got a shine or a sheen like silk, and it drapes like silk. Like you can see the skein just drapes beautifully even in the skein. And it's got a tiny bit of sheen to it. Not really a high shine fiber. I'm not big on bling and shine and sparkle, so I really like, you know, how little sparkle adds a lot of effect.
Yeah.
And same with this. It's a little bit of sheen, but not too much. And I just love it. And this may be used with these 4 skeins, which were my next ones. And they are, I've got some yak silk. The second challenge day, I tried a whole bunch of new fibers, and it carried on the rest of that week. But it was my first time trying yak, which was fabulous. And this is another really subtle colorway. So the yak is kind of a rich, deep brown, but it's mixed 50% yak with 25% tussa silk, which is a bit more rustic. And it's got a really subtle sheen, but not tons of shine. And 25% mulberry or bombyx silk, which is the one you normally think of, that super shiny, smooth silk. Yeah. And it's so decadent and rich, and it's lovely. And then this one is just 100% silk that'll go with it. And this is mulberry silk. And you can see it's got a lot more shine to it. And definitely super drapey. And then this one was the sea cell, which was another new fiber for me. It's the natural color.
Yeah, you've dyed it before, but not spun it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it wasn't a super fun spin. I don't know that I'll do it again. But the skein turned out great, so it'll definitely be used. And I think I'm going to weave these together into a little scarf.
That'll look great. Just the colors are...
Yeah. And then there's a little bit of dark for contrast with the yak. And then this one is probably my favorite of the whole tour. It's 1 ply of camel and tussa silk together and 1 ply of milk fiber.
That's so cool.
And yeah, it's actually produced in a similar way to the Tencel in the other blend. Most of the, I've seen them called biosynthetics, but like rose fiber, Purl fiber, Tencel, milk fiber, sea cell, yeah. They're all based on a plant fiber that's then manufactured into a viscose. And so they all have this kind of drapey, silky, shiny feel to them. And it's just, really cool. It's lovely. And yeah, this was definitely the most fun to spin, and I think it turned out great. So those will be used together. That'll be a fun weaving project that you might see in woven form at some point. And then my last skein for the month, which I squeaked in like the very last week at the end of the tour, was some Cormo. And this is another breed I hadn't tried before. Just basic undyed, but it was so clean. Like, it was so well prepped. And I'm in a group on Ravelry called Sweets Off the Wheel. It's a fabulous, really supportive spinning group. And one of the ladies there, Cormo spinner, had heard me mention that I had never tried Cormo and that it was hard to get in Canada. And so she offered to send me a little sample, which was fabulous. And I was expecting 5 grams or something just to try it out. And she sent me enough for a 50-gram skein. Well, actually more than a 50-gram skein. And it's just lovely. It's not quite as soft as the softest merino, but it's super plump and squishy, and I'll definitely be getting more. It's lovely. Really cool.
You got so much spinning done this month.
More than I ever have. It was the equivalent of 6 full-size skeins. And this one's 150 grams, so it's even more than that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Good job.
So lots of spinning. So there wasn't much knitting last month. It was all about the spinning for the tour. I'll be back to knitting a bit more this month, which is why I'm hoping to finish that scarf. But that was my tour de fleece.
Yeah. Well, I thought I'd use the podcast to guilt myself into blocking some things, because I am all about the process knitting. I love to knit, and then as soon as I, bind off, it goes into a bin somewhere and sits there for years. So what I did is I pulled out a whole bunch of projects that I knit previously and just need ends woven in and to be blocked. And I thought I'd do a little lucky dip. So Angel's gonna pull me out a project that I'm gonna try to finish by the next time we do a podcast. So,
Okay.
Oh, I gotta show off. Oh, it's my sheepy bag. Oh,
Flip the handle.
my mum went to Ireland last year, and she saw this and couldn't resist it for me.
It's adorable.
Cause I'm.
And it's sheep, and a black sheep eating clover.
Well, he's actually a ram. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
he's still a sheep, obviously. But anyway, yeah.
Okay, lucky dip. What do we got? It's a surprise. It's a gray blob!
It is. Oh,
Ooh, I like this one.
it's my Waiting for Rain. So
This was another one we did together.
There's another one, yeah. Ange and I and a lady from our knit night did a mini cal for Waiting for Rain, by Sylvia McFadden, I think.
Yeah.
I'm like, should be. We did it last June. Well, we started last June. I finished last June. They
did
took
not.
longer. Actually, has Janet? Yeah, Janet finished hers, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because she did it out of my handspun, and I have a picture of it.
So, it is a fabulous pattern. I really love it.
It was a fun knit too. Like I love the mindlessness of garter, but then when you're getting sick of it, all of a
Then
sudden
you get
you'd have a
this
little lace insert.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
really fun knit.
Yeah, and this yarn, it's so bright. I don't know if you can tell, but it was by Alcedina, which is a Etsy shop, and she dyed all of her colorways based on NASA photos of the universe.
Which appealed to the geek in both of us.
We're such nerds. We loved that. So this colorway was Strange Shapes, and unfortunately, I think her Etsy shop has closed, so
Yeah.
you can't get
It
it
might
anymore.
reopen, it doesn't say, but
Maybe.
it's been closed for a while. But
yeah,
it's
and
lovely
it
yarn.
is a fabulous knit. So I did it out of fingering weight. I can't remember if this pattern called for I don't know. I hack a lot of patterns. I tend not to do exactly what they call for, but
But you even did
lovely.
the picot edge on this one, which it called for, and I was surprised
That
you chose
actually, I thought that was the suggestions, the alternate suggestions.
You're right. It was part
But
of the pattern.
I thought
but
it really needed it. It just looked so beautiful, and I had extra yarn. So
They were big skeins. They were like 750 yards of yarn.
yeah, it was 150 grams.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great little scarf. My problem is that after I knit this, I went, well, I don't really wear scarves, but I totally will. I just have
And
to.
it's a beautiful color, but it's not the
Yeah.
best for your skin.
who cares? But yeah, so my challenge will be to block this for the next
And I'll hold her
next
to
podcast.
it.
Yeah. We don't know when the next podcast will be.
We're going to try. Our schedule's kind of hectic with the store, so we're going to do it at least every long weekend, which usually works out to about once a month. And we're going to try to squeeze in one more, like
In
every
between.
second week in between.
Yeah.
So it should be about every 2 weeks.
Hopefully.
But
We'll see.
some months might only have one on the long weekend if it's crazy, particularly crazy. It's always a little crazy around here.
Yeah. Faking Sanity is what we named our business because it really
suits
describes
us
us.
well.
Yeah. So that was
so that
okay.
was
That was
Lucky
my
Dip.
lucky dip.
Culture consumed.
Yeah. So we thought we'd talk about the things that we read and watch and listen to, and because I try to read a lot of books,
Less now than we used to, I
which
think,
is
for both
hilarious because we're surrounded by books every day, and I'm constantly like, oh, I need to read that, and then never
But
get around
we have a
to it.
lot
We have-
less time
yeah.
than when we were.
And it's hard to knit and read at the same time. So I do listen to some audiobooks, and we both watch a lot of things while we knit and spin. And yeah, so do you want me to talk about my books first?
Sure.
Okay, well, I actually read an entire book last night. It was really cute. It was a knitting, bit of a romance. Well, no, definitely a romance. Okay. It's called Knit One, Girl Two by Shira Glassman. And it's just a really, really cute little novella, so short, only like 68 pages long, so really quick read, and only an ebook, so I can't show it to you, but definitely if you're in the mood for a really quick, cute knitting romance between two Jewish girls. Oh, and actually it's about an indie dyer who's looking for some ideas for her next sock club, and gets them from an artist, and it's very, very cute. So
I like the knitting theme.
Yeah, there's a lot more lately.
Like the cozy mysteries you always had, like in mysteries that was more common, but not necessarily in the fiction and romances. So it's cool that there are more of those.
I mean, I called it a romance, but it's just a cute story that has a romance.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the other book I'm reading is, I'm actually in the middle of it right now. It's called One Native Life by Richard Wegamisi. I probably butchered the pronunciation, but he is a native Canadian author who's written quite a few novels, and they've been really well received. He's got nominated for Canada Reads and possibly the Giller. I can't remember about that, but I wasn't in the mood for fiction. I kind of like the really light and fluffy. I haven't been in the mood for serious fiction. That seems so weird, but I read a lot of nonfiction, so I actually picked up his memoir, and it's really cute. It's just really short stories about his life growing up as a native boy who had been taken from his family and adopted by a white family in the 60s in Canada, which is a terrible part of Canadian history.
Yeah.
That it's really good that people are talking about it. But it's great because his idea is very much, he wanted a very positive bio. He said there's a lot of really depressing true stories about this time in our history, and he just wanted to talk about all the good things that happen. Well, not just the good things, but like you get the kind of through the cracks some pretty bad things he dealt with, but they're just very positive stories.
It sounds really good.
It is. It's really good, and it's a lot about how growing up native, but without he knew no one else.
Without the cultural ties, just
exactly. Yeah. And he still felt the ties to the land and everything, and yeah, it's really, really good. I'm probably about a third of the way through and really enjoying it. So.
That's cool. I really like uplifting biographies. I never used to read bios.
Me either.
Listened to one on a long road trip once. Alan Alda's Never Get Your Dog Stuffed, which isn't about getting his dog stuffed really, but
but it was really good.
It was really good, and it was read by him, and I'm a big Alan Alda fan, and he was an excellent reader, and it was a really good bio.
Yeah, and since then we've both read quite a few.
Yeah.
But we tend to do, I don't know, the more uplifting things than the...
Same with, always looking up the Michael J.
Fox and
dealing with his illness and that sort of thing.
Much more than, I don't know, a lot of the bios you can find nowadays are depressing.
Yeah. Reading the news is depressing enough. If I'm reading for fun, I want to enjoy the read, or at least know that the outcome is good in the end, and I'm going to be happy and not miserable while I'm reading it.
Yeah. So. Okay, so your culture concern.
I have not read a whole lot lately, because you can't spin and flip the pages of a book, and I've been all about the spinning this past month. So I've been watching a lot of TV and YouTube shows and stuff like that. So this month was mostly Crash Course. If you haven't heard of them, check them out. There's Crash Course Psych and Crash Course
History. World History was the first big one.
There's Sociology. There's this month I've been watching the Mike Rignetta. Thank you.
The mythology,
the mythology
one is amazing.
And Mike Rignetta is the host, and he's fabulous. And I often laugh. He's just really, really good. And then the Big History one too, which is kind of history not on a human scale, but on a universe scale.
Yeah, I haven't watched that one at all, which is surprising because I'm the history nerd.
Yeah, I am so not, but it's really fabulous.
I really liked the world history. John Green did the world history ones, and they were fabulous. And I've been watching the computer science one, and the film history one, and the sociology.
They
do
so
tons,
many good
and they're
ones.
excellently done.
Yeah. Some of their stuff is actually done in schools now.
Yes,
in some
yes.
schools, they're really well done. If you haven't checked them out, check them out.
Yeah.
They do a whole bunch of educational, but fun channels. There's SciShow. There's
Crash Course.
Crash Course. They have
Brain
SciShow
Scoop.
Kids now, and some of the guests they've had on those shows have gone on to do their own shows.
Is that what Emily's one is called? Brain Scoop?
Yeah, Brain Scoop, and now she does. She's doing the new season of the Big Histories.
Yes,
on the
that's
Crash
really
Course.
cool.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't
So
bump the table too much.
that is pretty much what I've been watching.
Oh,
'cause
and
all about
Shetland.
spinning.
You started watching.
I just started watching Shetland.
I watched it ages ago and recommended it.
It was so funny because as soon as we started watching it, or I started watching it, I was like, I recognized the main actor, didn't know who his name, just knew I'd seen him in something, but didn't really recognize the other actor that came on shortly afterwards. And it took me until the second episode to finally go, oh my goodness,
He was in, he was in Monarch of the Glen. Yeah.
We watch a lot of British shows, so a lot of them are, hey, it's that guy from that show, because we don't see a lot of media about those actors here.
Yeah.
So, but it was really good. If you haven't seen them, they are on Netflix.
Oh, and they're based on novels by Anne Cleeves, which is kind of cool.
And there's like 2 episodes per novel.
Yeah.
So I've watched.
Yeah, and there's a couple seasons already, and they're coming out with more, which is fabulous because it was excellent.
They were really well done. I'm really enjoying them.
And it's really cool seeing like Shetland, and at one point he goes to
Fair Isle.
He goes to Fair Isle because that's where the main character is from Fair Isle. So you just get to watch and go, hey, look at all the pretty sweaters. But
there is a lot of knitting.
Yeah, there is. I mean, not at all like in the plot at all, but just background. Everyone wears hand knit stuff, so which makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's about it for me this week.
That's
it.
Us. And hopefully this time it worked, and we'll get this up once.
Well, we've got a couple days left of the long weekend. It's a holiday here this weekend, so
Monday is British Columbia Day.
So
it's,
a little more time off for us.
Yeah, which is nice.
It's lovely. So we will see you again next time, and hope to share some new knitting and stuff with you then.
Yeah. Have a good day.
See ya.